Session 21, Increasing Your Energy Level.
How would you like to have more energy and vitality on a day-to-day basis than you do right now? How would you like to learn some ideas and techniques that you can use starting immediately to dramatically increase the amount of vitality that you have moment to moment, hour by hour? Well, I've been studying health and energy for many years now, and in this session I'm going to give you 7 keys to having far more health, having far more vitality, and all it requires from you are the 5 Ds. Number 1 is desire. Number 2 is definition. Define clearly what you want. Number 3 is decision. Make a decision that you're going to engage in the health habits necessary to raise your energy levels. Number 4 is determination, the ability to stick at it long enough. And number 5 is discipline, the ability to discipline yourself to do what you know you should do to improve your health, whether you feel like it or not, until it becomes a new habit. Now, there's probably no place in all of this discussion where the law of correspondence is more true, in that your external body, your physical world, is a direct reflection of what is going on inside. The law of cause and effect says that the cause of the effects you experience in your life are what you put into your body, and of course what you put into your mind, and of course the law of habit. People are healthy because they develop health habits. People are unhealthy primarily because they have unhealthy habits, especially with regard to their physical behaviors and their ways of thinking. The body, the human body, is created and built to last 100 to 120 years. A good lot of research that's coming out now shows that it's possible to expand the lifespan to as much as 130 years, looking at experiments that have been done in longevity. We'll talk about these in just a second. The average life expectancy in America and Canada today is about 74.9 years. That means that 50% of the population or more die below that, some at 50, 55, 60, and so on, and half of them die over that. Your goal must be, right now, desire, definition, determination to live to be at least 80 plus. Now, once you set a goal of living to be over 80 years old, then you have to look at every single thing that you do on a day-to-day basis. What you eat and drink in the morning, mid-morning, noon, mid-afternoon, evening, and so on, what you do to your body, how you sleep, exercise, and ask yourself this question: is this moving me toward living to be 80 or more, or is it moving me away? And remember, with regard to your health, everything counts. Our body is a wonderful, wonderful machine. It generates energy. It is an energy-producing organism, and it will generate energy in abundance, and it has a natural bias toward health. Wonderfully enough, if you just stop doing some of the things that you're doing, your body will naturally move toward becoming healthier. It has a natural bias. You don't have to think about it or program or do anything special to be healthy. All you have to do is stop doing the things, what we call incorrect operation. Just the same as a machine that's built to last 100 years, but as a result of incorrect operation and improper maintenance, it breaks down long before its time. And we're going to talk in this session about some of the things that we have found. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours of research, and leading universities have concluded that the keys to high levels of energy and vitality, and by the way, health equals energy. You can measure just how well you're doing physically at almost any time by your energy level. And we know that, and today in America and today in Canada, everybody is concerned about low levels of energy. So here's 7 things you can do. 7 very, very simple, not easy, but simple things that you can do to dramatically increase your levels of energy, starting literally the minute you begin. Number 1, top of the list is proper weight. Proper weight is central to high levels of health and energy. Why is that? Well, there's 2 reasons. One physical, one psychological. If you are overweight, you put a tremendous tax on your heart. You put a tremendous tax on your organs. You put a tremendous tax on your muscles. If you've ever climbed up a set of stairs, you know how hard it is to climb up a set of stairs? Now think of climbing up a set of stairs with suitcases, and imagine how much overweight some people are. It's like climbing up stairs or walking around with suitcases that weigh those extra pounds. The strain on the body is imperceptible, but it's tremendous, and it tires you out. The second thing is that it is, in many cases, depressing to be overweight in a world that where everyone is thin, where thinness is on all the magazine covers and newspapers and television and movies and so on. When we see other people who are thin, when we look around us in the world and we feel that we're overweight, it causes us actually psychological depression, which is fatiguing. So how do you get to proper weight? Very simple. Visualize and affirm. Visualize and affirm. First of all, if you have a desire to get thin, make a decision, be determined, practice discipline, and then visualize and affirm your ideal weight over and over again until you reprogram your self-concept at a lower level. Remember, thin is in and stout is out. Number 2 is proper diet. Now, a lot of work has been done lately amongst Olympic athletes. A lot of work has been done in researching the diets of the people who have the most energy and vitality, and they've come up with 3 clues, 3 keys, depending upon what you eat. Number 1 is lots of variety. Is try to vary your diet so you eat a lot of different things rather than a few things, because if you eat a lot of different things, chances are you'll get all the trace vitamins and trace minerals that you require for high levels of energy, though not all, as we'll talk about in a second. Number 2 is lean source protein. Lean source protein means protein from a variety of sources like soybeans, fish, lean meats and so on, rather than fatty meats and fatty sources. Lean source protein, you need about 15% protein in your diet. So of whatever you eat on a day-to-day basis, anything more than 15% is probably in excess of your body's requirements. Number 3 is fiber-based carbohydrates. Fiber-based carbohydrates are fruits and vegetables. Fiber-based carbohydrates, you need about 75%. Fruits, vegetables, cereals, grains, and so on. 75% carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are the fuel that your body burns on a day-to-day basis. Also pasta, spaghetti, salads, and so on. If you eat 75% carbohydrates, you will very seldom gain weight. And of course, in addition to that, you need about 10% fats, but not more than 10% fats. Any more than 10% fats, 15% proteins, you tend to store it on and pack it on, and it's very, very hard to get off. And number 4 is lots of water. You need lots of water. According to the best research, about 64 ounces per day, which means about 8-ounce glasses per day. Just drink water on a regular basis. When you go to the drinking fountain, drink a glass of water rather than a slurp of water, if you like. These are the keys to proper diet. And finally, with regard to proper diet, under-eating without undernourishment. In the research that's been done at the University of California, recently they found that in experimenting with rats, that if you underfeed them so that they run lean and mean, and you don't undernourish them, what you do is you increase the amount of nutrient value in each piece of food that you eat. In other words, you eat foods that have high levels of nutrients, but you eat less of them. You keep your daily calorie intake below 2,000 calories, and you take those calories before, 80% of them before 2 p.m. in the afternoon. What will happen is that you will gradually lose weight, you'll trim down, you'll get thinner, and you'll have far more energy. And laboratory rats, they've been able to increase their lifespans by 30 to 50% simply by trimming down their diets. Their sexual potency goes up, their intelligence level goes up, their amount of energy goes up, the amount of sleep that they require goes down, all from under-eating or eating lean, eating trim. 30 to 50% increase, if it can be transferred from laboratory rats to human beings, means that if this is our current lifespan, 74.9 years, it means that it is conceivable that you and I can live to be 100, 110, 120 years old simply by changing our diets. And there's a lot of information and a lot of research on that that's really exciting right now. Another critical factor is number 3, it's proper food combining. Now this is a very controversial issue. And so what I suggest that you do, if you're interested in this subject, is read the book by Dr. Harvey and Marilyn Diamond called Fit for Life. And in there they talk about the fact that if you eat 70% of your diet is made up of fruits and vegetables, because 70% of your body weight is water, 70% of your diet should be water-based foods. 70% of your diet is fruits and vegetables, and then you combine foods properly in that you do not eat starches and proteins at the same time. So if you're going to eat vegetables plus protein, or vegetables plus starches, you do not eat proteins and starches simultaneously in any meal. I've tried this method of eating, and I suggest that you try it because it's astonishing. Your weight drops very rapidly, your energy levels go up very rapidly, and it happens within 24 hours. They also advise that you eat a lot of fruits for breakfast and only fruits, and you only start eating vegetables and proteins from noon onward. But you can take from it what you desire. With regard to diet, let me just say this, is that you are unique. You have a unique metabolic rate, and according to medical research, you have unique requirements for food. Some people have a physiological structure that is perfect for vegetarianism. Some have a physiological structure where they need a lot of protein. Others are somewhere in between. They need the right combination of protein and vegetarianism. What you have to do is you have to experiment yourself. Try different combinations of diets, and the indicator is how good you feel, how much energy you have, how well you sleep at night, how trim you are physically, and so on, how well your food digests and passes through. But this food combining, I have found, is quite remarkable in that it does increase your energy levels, because when you put proteins and starches into your stomach, the stomach secretes both acids and bases to digest them. The acids and bases neutralize each other. The proteins and starches do not get broken down, and they move into the digestive system as a large undigested lump, and the digestive system takes all the blood from the muscles and the brain to the digestive system to try to break down this lump. That's why you get drowsy after a big meal. That's why you get drowsy in the afternoon, is that all of your body's energy is trying to digest this food. And remember, the major source of energy drain in your body is digestion. Digestion uses more energy than anything else. So if you can decrease the amount of energy that is consumed in digestion, you can increase the amount of energy that you have available for other things. Let me go back here. There's 3 poisons that's critical to eliminate from your diet. We call them the 3 white poisons. The 3 white poisons, which are in almost every house, are sugar, white sugar, also honey, brown sugar, molasses, and so on, flour, white flour, which is an inert substance from which all food value has been removed, and salt. The average American or Canadian requires no extra sugar in their diet, but consumes 135 pounds per year. One of the major sources or causes of diabetes, which is rapidly becoming one of the major causes of premature death. White flour products have no food value in them at all, and salt, the average North American requires 2 pounds per year total in their diet of salt. The average North American consumes 20 pounds. Just decreasing the amount of salt that you take in and increasing the amount of water will wash out an enormous amount of salt, will decrease the amount of fluid that your body requires to hold the salt in suspension, and many people who stopped taking salt and started drinking water have dropped as much as 5 pounds in a matter of 3 or 4 days. So if you are overweight, if you have a lot of water retention, eliminate extra salt from your diet. Okay, number 4. Let's go back to number 4. Number 4 is eliminate, or let us say no smoking, and moderate alcohol consumption. Of all the things that you can do voluntarily to your body, smoking is the worst. In fact, according to all the medical research, there's something like 32 different diseases, all the way up to and including arteriosclerosis and lung cancer. Lung cancer is rapidly becoming the number 2 killer in the Western world today, and women are now dying at exactly the same rate as men with lung cancer. If there's anything that you could cut out of your lifestyle that would help you physically more than smoking, nobody knows what it is. 32 different diseases. So eliminate smoking. How do you eliminate smoking? You start visualizing and thinking about yourself as a non-smoker. Start affirming. I am a non-smoker. I am a non-smoker. I am a non-smoker. I am a non-smoker. And begin visualizing yourself as a non-smoker. In a certain period of time, you will lose your taste for smoking. Now, it won't be easy, but it's well worth the effort. Moderate alcohol consumption. I like the word moderate personally. But moderate alcohol consumption, according to the people who do research in this field, is about 1 drink a day. 1 drink a day, 7 drinks a week is about the most that you are allowed if you're going to be called a moderate drinker. When you start getting to 2 drinks a day or 3 drinks a day, you're starting to get into the problem drinking range. Number 5 is proper exercise. Proper exercise means aerobic. Now, aerobic exercise increases the amount of oxygen to the brain. The amount of oxygen to the brain increases the speed with which you think. It increases your level of intelligence and creativity. It also increases your energy levels. In fact, people who engage in aerobic exercise have more energy, sleep less, sleep better, have more energy for the good things in life, if you know what I mean. They eat better food, and they live longer. And they're also smarter and more creative. Now, the keys to aerobic exercise, the best aerobic exercises are cross-country skiing is the best of all, followed by swimming, followed by running, followed by cycling, followed by walking. So no matter what physical condition you're in, you can do one of the top 5, even if it's just walking. If you're going to do a vigorous aerobic exercise, what you do is you practice what is called LSD, long, slow distance. You work out 20, 30, 40 minutes a day. You can go for a walk, 2-mile walk 5 times a week will make you one of the fittest people in the world, if that's all you do is walking. If you want to run, what you need to do is you need to sustain a high level of heart rate for 20 minutes, 3 times weekly. If you do that, you'll be in the top 1% of physically fit people in our society. Simple as that. Now, people sometimes say, well, I don't have time to engage in physical exercise. I don't have time to run. I don't have time to walk. I don't have time to swim. The fact of the matter is this, is that if you are physically fit, if you have higher levels of energy, then what will happen is that you will be able to work productively longer. You will be able to work productively better. You will make fewer mistakes that you have to go back and replace. You will need less sleep. You will have less downtime from physical ailments because you won't be sick. You will have more energy and vitality overall, and you will have more years to your life, more years added on to your life to do things with. The question is, how badly do you want to live a long time? Because I've spoken to many people who have made the mistake of saying, well, I'll get in shape later, or I'll change my diet later, or I'll quit smoking later, until it reaches a point where they find that they have a terminal illness or a terminal situation, and it's too late. With regard to smoking, there was a great story in the Reader's Digest a couple of years ago, talking about a fellow who wrote this article, said, you will quit smoking sooner or later. And he had been told, and he had thought about quitting smoking for 20 years, and he never did it. And one day he went to the doctor, and the doctor looked at him and took the x-rays and said, you've got lung cancer, you've got 2 months to live. And so he went home, and he put all his affairs in order, and he wrote this little story, and he sent it off to Reader's Digest. And by the time the story was published, he was already dead. There was a footnote, died of lung cancer. But it said that if you don't quit sooner, you'll quit later, but you will quit. I assure you, you will quit smoking. The best time to quit smoking is before they find that you have a lung cancer, and it's hopeless. All right. Now, the next key to health, number 6, is proper rest. According to the Alameda study, which is one of the most impressive studies ever done, it was done at the University of Southern California Department of Public Health by Dr. David Bressler. You can remember all that in a row. What they did is they took 7,000 to 8,000 men, and they followed them for 20 years, and they looked at their health habits. And they found that their health habits, the 7 key health habits, which we talked about most of them, that led to longevity, that predicted that one would live a longer life, one of them was 7 to 8 hours sleep per night. 7 to 8 hours sleep per night. Now, with regard to sleep, sometimes people say, well, how much sleep should a person have? Again, each person's metabolic rate is different. Some people need 8, 9, 10 hours sleep because their metabolic rate is slower. Some people have a higher metabolic rate. They can get along with 5 and 6 hours sleep. Sometimes when you're working hard or you're under a lot of physical stress, you need more sleep. Sometimes when you're really excited or positive or enthusiastic about something, you need less sleep. So listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. However, we do know this, that the amount that you sleep is a habit, that your body actually becomes conditioned to sleeping a certain number of hours per night, and that it is possible for you to reduce the number of hours you sleep by affirming, visualizing, and goal planning, or programming your subconscious to reduce your sleep. Now, what they recommend in the book, Sleep Less, Live More, is that you reduce the amount of sleep by 15 minutes per day. Now, what that means is that you take, for instance, a period of your time that's relatively stable, that you're not traveling or moving around, and if you're let's say you're sleeping 8 hours and you want to get down into about the 6.5 hour range, which is very possible according to all the research, then what you say is for the first week you're going to sleep 7 hours and 45 minutes. And you just sleep 7 hours and 45 minutes until you feel comfortable at 7 hours and 45 minutes. Then you sleep 7.5 for a week, maybe even 2 weeks. And the older you are, the longer you should give yourself to develop a new habit. And over a process of about 6 weeks, you can actually drop from 8 hours to 6.5. And what happens is your body actually sleeps faster. You can train your body by the body learning that I only get 6.5 hours to sleep, so it sleeps quickly, and you are equally rested, equally refreshed, and you have those hours to do something with. Interesting story about a man in England who had an accident when he was young, and as a result of the accident, he fell on his head. He could only sleep 45 minutes at a time, and he only needed to sleep about 2 or 3 45-minute periods during the day. So he took all the rest of the time that he had. He slept very, very deeply for 45 minutes. He had an extra 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. He took that time and he studied. By the time he was 35, he had 7 doctorates in 7 different subjects because he'd spent all of those hours studying university subjects. Now, number 7, key to success or key to energy is natural vitamin and mineral supplements. Natural vitamin and mineral supplements. Most of our foods today, because they are mass-produced and because of the way we eat, we simply don't get all of the trace minerals and vitamins that we require. In fact, you'd be astonished to know that many people have a deficiency of a particular vitamin or mineral that they don't even know about, but which is causing them depressed energy levels. Sometimes a deficiency of zinc, sometimes a deficiency of selenium, sometimes a deficiency of B12, sometimes a deficiency of riboflavin or potassium in your diet can cause your system to be off-center, cause your system to function improperly, cause you to function at lower levels of energy. So you have to experiment, but the key is to get them from natural sources, pure natural sources. There are many vitamins that say that they are natural and organic, but they are not from natural sources. An example of a natural source vitamin is vitamin C from acerola cherries. Be very clear, because vitamin C from ascorbic acid and vitamin C from acerola cherries has an effectiveness level of maybe 20 to 1. The acerola cherries, 50 milligrams from acerola cherries, may be more effective than 1,000 milligrams from ascorbic acid crystals. So do your own research on vitamins and minerals. It's a critical part of your health and your fitness. And finally, remember this, if I can repeat. The key to success is desire. Do you really want to have high levels of energy? Do you want to live forever? Do you want to live to be 80 or 90 and still be energetic and vital? Number 2 is define what you want to do. How clearly do you want it? Write out a plan for yourself. Just simply writing out a plan in a series of affirmations. I sleep 6.5 hours per night. I am a non-smoker. I weigh your ideal weight. I exercise 3 times a week. And reading those affirmations over and over again, programming it into the subconscious, begins to trigger what is called autosuggestion, where you will actually feel impelled to engage in the health habits that will give you the energy and vitality that you desire. The third is decision. Make a decision to do it. Sometimes just getting up and getting going is critical. Fourth is determination. It's very, very hard to change. Remember we talked about the law of habit? It's very hard to change old habits. But if you can develop new positive habits that lead to high levels of energy and vitality, they will serve you all your life. And finally, here's the most difficult of all, the discipline. There's a beautiful old saying that says that discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. One final point. We said at the beginning of this seminar that your level of self-esteem, how good you feel about yourself, how much you like yourself, how much you love yourself, is the critical part of a healthy personality. And every single time you discipline yourself to do something that you know is right for you, that increases your levels of energy and vitality, your self-esteem goes up, you feel more positive, you have more energy, you get along better with other people, and you move more rapidly toward becoming the successful person that you're capable of becoming.